Last night, the Overwatch League dropped a ton of information regarding the schedule for the 2020 season next year, and with it, teams have been beginning to announce where they'll be hosting the homestand weekends as well. So today, I'm going to go over all the information I think that's important for you to know, giving my thoughts and opinions on it, as well as reminding some people about some other things regarding the 2020 season that we already know. And I'll say it quickly now before I forget, which is most of what I'm referring to will be linked down below in the description, so if you want to get a closer look at the articles I cite and the full schedule, I recommend you click on them there for more details. Just as some basic overall stuff, the 2020 season of the Overwatch League will see no new expansion teams, which is something that was confirmed to us a while back when Nate Nanzer was still commissioner. And although I can understand some disappointment for this, with personal preferences of mine being new teams in Berlin, Busan and Sydney, I can understand this move from Blizzard's point of view, so I want to make sure next season runs as smoothly as possible. And the best way to achieve this was to have teams and organisations established for at least a year to ensure they can build a fanbase and make preparations well in advance of their homestands, infrastructure, and other things like travel arrangements for next year. Before the information dropped yesterday, we were also well aware that each team would have to host a minimum of 2 homestand weekends over the course of the season, therefore meaning that matches themselves will now only take place on weekends, and that the teams would be split between divisions, in the Atlantic North and South group, as well as the Pacific East and West group, with the winners presumably getting a bye to the playoffs, although that's not confirmed. Remembering that stages have also been removed, with all the games counting just towards the end of season ranking for the playoffs that will probably come afterwards. Also on the same point, the number of matches total would remain the same as the 2019 season, with each team playing 28 matches, consisting of your 9 division opponents twice, as well as playing the other division once. In regards to the opening week of 2020 action, we now know, following the release of the schedule, that the opening week begins on the 8th of February in 2020, and sees New York and Dallas host homestands, with the season curtain raiser interestingly pitting the Paris Eternal against the Toronto Defiant. Something I want to clear up, as I've seen some people still a little confused, as we can see on the schedule here, is that it might look like the New York vs London series overlaps with the Titans vs Gladiators matchup, but in fact, all the times listed on this schedule are local to the team that's hosting, meaning as far as I can tell, no matches should overlap one another unless there are problems or delays. That said, Americans, or indeed other North American viewers, will probably realise that this means that when there's a series at 6 PM in Shanghai for example, that's roughly going to be played in the middle of the night for you guys, so you can finally suffer the pain and inconvenience if you want to stay up to watch all the matches, but all us Europeans in particular, as well as others around the world, have had to endure for the past couple of years, staying up to awful hours just because they've suited your local audience. Overall though, I think this decision is not only the correct one, but also the most logical, as it wouldn't make sense to have international matches adhere to America-friendly times, as that's more likely to disillusion and alienate local fan bases and viewers, which is a key target of making this a global league, and something that has been somewhat ignored up to now. I haven't been able to delve super deeply into every team's schedule, but it does appear that outside of the mid-season All-Star break in Week 13, most teams I've looked at do get some lengthy time off between some of their matches to rest and recover, which I think will be good in helping teams travel and avoid burnout. And according to the schedule, the regular season should conclude in Week 27 on August 8th and 9th, with the homestand weekends in Toronto and LA for the Valiant. With such a long season, remembering the large amount of travel involved as well, one thing I expect to see being employed more efficiently for 2020 is the full use of the team 12-man rosters. Aside from really Seoul, no team has really felt the need to trial and play everyone else on their roster, which is fair enough in the current setup, with fewer demands on the players just playing weekly in LA. But now that people are going to be travelling quite often, illnesses are bound to happen, or they'll probably end up being some sort of problem with one player or another when they're travelling. Which is why I think, just for squad depth and security, fully filling out the 12-man rosters is going to become a must for most teams, but perhaps becoming normal for some players to stay at their local facility if they aren't needed to travel, or are unable to, through sickness for example. That said, for a team like Atlanta, this isn't going to be as much of an issue, as due to a slight quirk in the schedule, they are one of a handful of teams that doesn't actually end up travelling to Asia, and instead only plays in America and Europe for 2020, which I see potentially working out in their favour in terms of travel and player health, even if it does see some of their players miss out on an exciting trip abroad, as Dogman has disappointingly pointed out. Of course, with the schedule being released, that also means that some teams have started to announce the locations where they're hosting the homestand events at. With the success of the Dallas and Atlanta homestands so far, as well as a large amount of interest, particularly in regards to the Chinese teams, some of the venues currently announced have some seriously impressive capacities, which if filled, would create some amazing atmospheres come next year. Credit here to Connor Knudsen of the Gamehouse Esports for compiling the list we know so far. I just want to bring up some of the ones that caught my eye. La Florida Mayhem will be travelling the state with their homestands, having one at the Watsco Center at the University of Miami, which is an approximate capacity of 8,000, as well as the Full Sail live venue at the Full Sail University in Orlando, has an approximate capacity of 1,500. Washington's locations of the Anthem and the ESA have an approximate capacity of 3,000 to 4,000, whilst the Shock and Titans, used at the historic Cow Palace and Rogers Arena respectively, have sporting capacities of over 10,000, but will likely be smaller once outfitted for Overwatch League matches. But we're still looking at a capacity here of over 5,000. Now if you want to see other venues and potential capacities, check out the linked article, and it's important to remember that these are all estimates, but from reading the interest I've been seeing online, especially with some of the teams only hosting a couple of homestands, like in Europe, it wouldn't surprise me to see these places sell out, or at least fill out largely. And if they do, not only should the atmospheres be immense there, but it will show that the league is achieving what it aspired to by going global. That said, I do think it is interesting to note that some teams like Hangzhou only have a maximum capacity of 1,500, so it will be interesting to see the dynamic change between larger and smaller venues. And the only other note I'd say is it does surprise me that Seoul, and subsequently South Korea, only has 2 homestand weekends, as I thought they'd want to do more there, due to the massive popularity of the game and the major markets within. But what about grabbing tickets for yourself? They go on sale very soon, in just a week's time as I record this video. Tickets go on sale on Wednesday, 28th of August 2019, with timing still to be confirmed I believe, but Korea and China tickets go on sale at a later date. Personally, I'm trying to get my hands on tickets for the London homestand events, as long as they don't sell out in seconds. And if you are a fan of the Overwatch League, everything I've heard about the homestands previously has been great, so I wouldn't hesitate if you're thinking about going, as I expect tickets to sell out very fast, especially some of these smaller venues. That's all the news I have for now in regards to the newly announced schedule, but I do want to re-raise a point I've brought up in the past before I end this video. That's the effect that localization will have on roster and player moves to 2020. I don't think this is a stretch to say that moving forward, the Seoul Dynasty and Chinese teams are likely to get first choice of upcoming Korean and Chinese Tier 2 talent, purely based on their location, even if they might be offered slightly more money to go to other sides based in America. The fact that these teams will be closest to their homes and give them more of a chance to stay somewhere familiar, I think will play a major role for seducing some of the top talent in the future, with some Korean players in the league already voicing their preference to move to Seoul in the future, like Striker, but I think will only get louder once localization is up and running, and is another reason why another team based in Korea is bound to come in 2021. But in turn, this hopefully combined with a very likely need for 12-man rosters, should also see more contenders talent drafted through in the Overwatch League for 2020, which I think is sorely needed, with some current players very lucky in my opinion to still be playing within the league, with more talented options still waiting for their opportunity as they're stuck in Tier 2 at the moment. To end though, I want to give some solace to Boston fans who will discover that with multiple trips to Europe, as well as Asia, the Uprising have to travel more than most other teams in 2020. But with all this travel abroad, it gives Huck so many opportunities for him to do his usual trick of scouting unknown talent to make a good profit on. I mean to say improve your team with, so you can happily look forward to that. And with that, we reach the end of my video on our 2020 news that's just been announced. I'd like to thank you for watching. Let me know which homestand events you're looking forward to get tickets for. Otherwise, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter for continuing competitive Overwatch coverage and content. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.